In a 10, Scrap Puppet. This animatronic is probably the least frightening on this list. I've used a lot of puppets in the past for scary animatronics, and hell, I even talked about this version during the top 10 FNAF Puppet Facts video, but this is the most lame out of today's bunch. The Scrap Puppet was created by TFE Arts on DeviantArt and is really giving me some Venom symbiote vibes with all the tendrils coming off the back. They are clearly meant to be present in FNAF 6 since they're at the review table, and the only time we see scrap animatronics outside of Ultimate Custom Night is FNAF 6. So this is clearly meant to be the start of the jump scare while trying to salvage them. The glowing green eyes are creepy, and the overall just ruined look really sets me on edge, especially with this man juicing. Look at those pecs, they're bigger than my arms. In at 9, Corrupted Bonnie. I have a theory that you can put any creepy adjective in front of a FNAF character and someone has made that character come to life. For example, Corrupted Bonnie by WITHERED on DeviantArt. We all know how I feel about spiders, especially if you watched my last Forever Nightmare video. Link to that in the top right corner if you want to check that out, because oh my god. Anyway, this animatronic takes the word arachnophobia and just embeds it into the void where my soul should be. No. It goes into the depths of hell from which it came and embeds arachnophobia into my soul that the devil has had for years. This guy has 2 giant fangs, 7 lights in his eye, plenty of more teeth around his mouth, 5 arms, 2 legs, and a partridge in a pear tree, who I'm hiding behind because holy living crap, if this thing existed in real life, I don't think I'd survive. I can picture it moving like Ballora. Oh my god, make it stop. And at 8, Corrupted Springtrap. Continuing on the corrupted train, we have Corrupted Springtrap by, you guessed it, WITHERED on DeviantArt. While being scarier than most animatronics I've seen, the image I was able to find of Corrupted Springtrap was lit in a way that doesn't really let you see it. It makes for a scary image, that's why I'm not saying it's poorly lit, but it makes it difficult to make out the details, which could be what WITHERED had intended this time. This version of good old Willie Afton has horrific fangs and teeth, not unlike those of Corrupted Bonnie, but they're much less pronounced. Springtrap also has spikes coming out of his arm, kinda like Harry Osborn's arm, like metal blade thing from Spider-Man 3. You know, the best Spider-Man movie? Springtrap has glowing white eyes and is ready to rip your face off and then probably eat it. My question is, how is Springtrap corrupted? Like, he's already killed at least like a boat's worth of kids at this point, and then been possessed by one of them, so like, how corrupt can one man get? And at 7, HELLSPAWN. Another entry into the list of evidence as to why I think you can add any scary adjective to a FNAF character and you get a fan-made creation. To this one I typed in HELLSPAWN Freddy, and while I did find one, I also found HELLSPAWN by Joy VA on Amino. I don't know if that stands for something or if it's just a section of their name, but that's the only part that wasn't a hashtag, so I'll call them that. HELLSPAWN is very reminiscent of Jackal Bonnie with a glowing interior and a nightmarish aesthetic. However, this time the glow is blue, kinda like a blue flame that's powering this animatronic like it's the soul of the child who was brutally killed by William Afton. At least that's why I think that it has the name of HELLSPAWN. Why do you think he has that name? Let me know below. And at 6, Nightmare Toy CHICA. If you think that Toy CHICA is the tastiest FNAF animatronic, you'll be questioning yourself after seeing this iteration of the character. Nightmare Toy CHICA was created by YouTube user ChristianX2099 on their channel. This video, aptly named Speed Edit Making Nightmare Toy CHICA, is actually very impressive. This was uploaded December 5th, 2015, so this character has been floating around the internet for a while. There aren't any real quarrels I have with the design aside from the fact that I didn't really need a tooth coming out of her cheek. Like, it's obviously up to the one designing them, and I couldn't do anything this cool to save my life, but the tooth doesn't really seem to belong there. It's just like it was put there instead of breaking out through the cheek, which from what I saw in this video, they could have easily done. Either way, with or without that cheek tooth, it's still the scariest version of Toy CHICA. I don't think I want her to come over anymore. I might need to call her and cancel. Halfway through at number 5, Phantasmagoric Ignited Foxy. The Phantasmagoric Ignited Foxy hails from the Joy of Creation universe, the game that I always like to come back to when I'm looking for scary animatronics. This world is messed up, sis. In this story you play as Scott Cawthon, who was retired from the FNAF franchise and released the final game. However, the animatronics don't like that, so instead of being put to rest because, you know, they're dead fictional characters, they manifest in the real world and go after him. Phantasmagoric means having a deceptive appearance, something shared between this version of Foxy and all my exes, but But literally, this version of Foxy is just a load of lights that are similar to when you fight the demons in the Dark Dream World in Spider-Man on the PS4. It's creepy as hell, and if I saw this thing running at me, I would book it in the other direction. No thank you, sir. And at 4, Prototype Foxy. While Mangle is an actual character, the design of the character isn't exactly like the Mangle we all know and love. This one is hella scary. Sinister Turmoil Sewers is what the game Sinister Turmoil was supposed to be. However, the full game was abandoned and what was completed was released as Sewers. The game features Prototype Foxy as the main antagonist, who is following you around a sewerscape while you try and find keys. Seems very similar to something that would come a couple games later, doesn't it? I genuinely believe this game was the inspiration for the Foxy Corn Maze minigame in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC, but that's aside the point. The Mangle is creepy and always knows where you are, which only makes things worse, but it's the cupcake alarm that really makes it even more terrifying. The cupcake is like the crows from the Curse of Dreadbear. It lets Mangle know where you are, and like And at 3, WITHERED GLITCHTRAP. Created by Shadow Foxy on Amino, this iteration of GLITCHTRAP is a little bit weird since GLITCHTRAP isn't meant to be an animatronic and is instead just William Afton in a suit, but hey, it's fan art, they can have their own canon, and honestly, looking at this scares the hell out of me, okay? I hate GLITCHTRAP, he's such a creepy character. Scott really did a good job when designing him, but then removing the fabric and cutting off the ears is just freaking horrific. It's the perfect combination of scary and gross, and it works so well. Even if the right side of the character is the only one affected, it's still just really off-putting, and like the little tiny pupil with no iris, I can't, okay? No. And at 2, SPRINGTRAP. SPRINGTRAP was meant to appear in the FNAF fan game Dermitibus, another game I love to come back to in order to find scary animatronics. There wasn't much planned for SPRINGTRAP, but he was present in the Dermitibus beta. Modeled by Golden Nexus, SPRINGTRAP is a green version of what seems to be Scraptrap, with similar proportions of the head. However, this game was released before FNAF 6 to my knowledge, so that's probably just a coincidence. SPRINGTRAP's head is backwards, meaning that he walks backwards while looking at you, and this was planned to be a part of his minigame, since it would then be possible to make him stumble and trip, causing him to be stunned. Like, the character appears to be a Springlock victim, but with not much remaining on the inside, so it's kind of up in the air. However, you can see scratches and tears on the outside, like with all the worn down animatronics. Someone needs to use better fabric, okay? Just go to like Fabricland or something, I don't know. Is Fabricland good? I don't. Finally, in at number 1, Scrap GLITCHTRAP. Scrap GLITCHTRAP genuinely made me nearly scream when I first saw him. Created by user T_Springer666 on Reddit using assets from Chuiza Productions and Elite Robo, this monstrosity was shared on the FNAF Reddit 9 months ago and has since been archived. The glowing red eyes with the combination of all the wires and missing parts is absolutely horrific, and the arrangement of those wires to look like intestines and like a heart around the torso is incredible. GLITCHTRAP not being an animatronic aside, this thing is just beautiful. The hand replaced with the freaking fan? Is that what that is? I don't know. Even if it's not the fan, it's still the scariest thing imaginable. The ripped purple vest and the blood-soaked bow tie make everything just that much more unsettling.
Number 10. Shadow Withered Chica. All of the withered animatronics are just horrific. So what happens when you combine them with the shadow animatronics? You get gloriously terrifying creations like Shadowed Withered Chica. Withered Chica is already really creepy due to the fact that she is missing both of her hands and really only has wire left in place of them. Her bright yellow coloring usually helps to offset this creepy detail when it comes to her appearance, but the shadow version of her gets no such counterbalance, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on your opinion. Her dislocated jaw is also highlighted even more here by the fact that she's in shadow, with her bib becoming a disturbing beacon in the darkness. The only thing you can like see looming when she comes towards you, you're like, ah, her bib! Never thought I'd be so scared of a bib. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want even more FNAF lists, you know we want to give them to you. So be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 9. Shadow Sprite. Shadow Sprite appears to be a completely original animatronic design. Sprite is described as a mammal and a carnivoran. Carnivoran meaning likely that Sprite is an eater of meat or flesh, so a carnivore. Carnivoran's kind of just another word for carnivore, I believe. So you definitely would want to watch out with this animatronic, as it won't just store you somewhere, it'll likely ingest you and potentially ingest your soul as well, who knows. Maybe this is the only animatronic who doesn't really gain remnant from killing people and can't really extract that, storing the soul, but instead completely devours its prey. Sprite appears to have 2 large arms that are wing-like save for the fingers on the ends of them. It has feet like a dog and giant ears that are almost bunny or dog-like in appearance. Kind of reminds me of those like floppy bunny ears. Number 8, Crazed Shadow Puppet. So there are actually a whole series of these shadow animatronics and I love them. I love these little like crazed animatronics. Their expressions are great. For some reason they really remind me of Bendy and the Ink Machine. Maybe it's that wash of insanity, or maybe it's all the dripping inky-like look of their faces. But yes, it's definitely giving me Bendy vibes. Crazed Shadow Puppet is probably my favorite of them all, as we can also see that not only is there something very disturbed about this grinning, wide-eyed expression, but you can also see upon close inspection that the puppet faceplate here is cracked as well, which also feels somewhat symbolic to me. Having a face with a crack in it while also seemingly losing your mind? I mean, it's like your mind has a crack in it, you know what I mean? Number 7, Shadow Mangle. As much as I thought Shadow Mangle would be terrifying, and well, it is, I'm actually not finding this to be one of the most scary on our list, but it's still pretty scary. Shadow Mangle, even in one iteration, is pictured as being fully whole, although even then we kind of get some like Cthulhu-like vibes from this animatronic. The version of Mangle is pictured as being fully together with a big bushy tail and furry fox face and ears. Its teeth and eyes glow a bright white, and it sports a little bow tie. But while that all sounds not too bad in terms of scare factor, behind it, in shadow, loom a series of tentacles, if you will, obviously meant to be the pieces and bits that couldn't quite fit back together. Anything that is like tentacles looming behind it, I'm like, no, not gonna do that. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Number 6, Shadow Chica. Oddly enough, Chica is one of the few main cast at Freddy's who doesn't really seem to have too much of her own shadow version. We don't really know why this is, but just because Chica has a lot of weird love coming her way doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve to also have a super scary and mysterious alternate shadow version. Fans of course have looked to rectify this by giving her one. Granted, you have to be careful where you share said fan-made animatronics online in terms of communities, as some have attempted to do so in canon-based wikis where it's considered a major no-no. So yeah, but they're still out there. I like that they also still exist on those wikis. They've just been like, you can't do this here, but we're not gonna like delete it, we're just gonna like move it around. Shadow Chica is typically depicted as being less rounded than our FNAF 1 counterpart and a little bit more curvy instead. Why is Chica always drawn curvy, even with FNAF 1? I don't know. Her eyes, teeth, and the eyes of her cupcake stand out, glowing a bright white. So many curvy Chicas. I can't, even when it's not Toy Chica, people are like, let's give her a waist. I'm like, she's like a chicken. I feel like, I don't know. You can be either way, really. I'm not trying to body shame Chica here, just FYI, just to be clear. I just think it's interesting the way that people choose to draw her. Number 5, Shadow Springtrap. Not sure if it makes sense to have a Shadow Springtrap, considering that Springtrap, when he first shows up, is still alive, or alive in the sense of being a shambling corpse that can still move and think, I presume, but he was trapped within a Spring Bonnie suit. I guess as alive as Springtrap gets. The shadow animatronics are typically all kinda ghost-like or glitch-like in terms of their appearance and what they stand for. I mean, they're kind of mysterious actually. We don't really know a lot about shadow animatronics. I think we had a whole video about shadow animatronics and like, what are they really? In my opinion, they're kind of like mirrorverse versions of almost all the animatronics we know, love, and fear, like their other half. It feels weird to have this for some reason for an animatronic who is also a person, but just because it's somewhat unconventional, it doesn't mean that fans can't imagine what a shadow Springtrap would look like. And the answer is, of course, terrifying, because Springtrap's already terrifying, so you shadow it, still scary. Number 4, Shadow Toy Foxy. Shadow Toy Foxy is a very different looking shadow type animatronic. Instead of being quite as dark with pinprick white eyes like other shadow animatronics, this version is a bold purple that is somewhat see-through, revealing their endoskeleton through their somewhat translucent purple outer exosuit. Kinda reminds me of those old Macs people had in the early 2000s where they had like colorful plastic on the back that you could see all the inner workings and the motherboard through. I might be aging myself here, but that is a thing. I remember those Macs. I don't think I ever owned one though, sadly. Of course, this could also just be an artistic rendition of what would be a much more shadowy animatronic should it appear in game, because, you know, this is a drawing. Shadow Toy Foxy not only looks scary, but also manages to look refined as well, keeping their bow tie, lipstick, and bright cheeks. Number 3, Nightmare Shadow Bonnie. Nightmare animatronics are already terrifying enough. We don't need to give them anything else to make them even more scary, do do we? But that is just what this fan-made version does, so I guess maybe we do. Nightmare Shadow Bonnie is a version of the Nightmare Bonnie animatronic, one that happens to be more shrouded in darkness due to its shadow-like inky black coloring. However, even in shadow, this animatronic still gives us some detail so we can see how tattered it is. For some reason, I also find its expression, face shape, and its teeth to be even more horrifying than the standard Nightmare Bonnie animatronic version. So maybe we do need Shadow Nightmare animatronics, like a whole series of them. They'd be really scary. Number 2, Shadow Toy Chica. Shadow Toy Chica is maybe the most horrifying of all of the fan-made Shadow animatronics because of how hot everyone is still obsessed with making her. Once again, this is Toy Chica, so Shadow Toy Chica is not removed from that. We're still making her like a weirdly sexy animatronic. Well, yeah, like I said, she is a version of Toy Chica. Shadow Toy Chica is typically depicted as having a big, jagged grin and an X on her chest, both of which, along with her pupils, glow a bright white. Sometimes she can also be seen carrying her cupcake, which glows a bright white or neon blue. Shadow Toy Chica also has her own Twitter profile that someone made for her under the username Shadow Thought Chica. I think that says it all when it comes to just how scary this fan-made Shadow animatronic is. Number 1, Nightmare Shadow Mangle. I thought that Shadow Toy Chica would be the most scary in principle, and then Nightmare Shadow Mangle came along. Mangle is already a horrifying animatronic, so this really just adds a layer to that. Nightmare Shadow Mangle is a lot more intimidating, considering that it's really hard to see. Mainly what we can see of this animatronic is its bright white glowing teeth and its eyes, and the eyes that belong to its Endo puppet parrot. Yikes! This version of Mangle would be hard to spot if you face it in person, and when you likely did end up noticing it, it would probably be way too late. It would be like, I got you, and you'd be like, dead.
In a 10, scrap Bonnie. Ah, Bonnie, the scariest animatronic to some, even Scott Cawthon, who would have nightmares about you. But this is probably why he didn't make you a scrap animatronic, yet here we are with the fan base once again showcasing that their only desire is to watch the world burn and laugh while we all go up in flames, but then miraculously not die somehow, only for it to be explained years later in a random book that a load of hardcore game purists claim isn't canon. However, Scrap Bonnie is definitely worthy of making this list because, like, look at it. I love rabbits, they're freaking adorable, but zombie rabbits always creeped me out for some reason, and this reminds me of a zombie rabbit. The exposed endoskeleton, the random weird claw-like thing they got going on. It's like if Scrap Baby was reassembling herself and then Elizabeth was like, no, I want to possess Bonnie! And then she remade herself as Bonnie. Honestly, I'm surprised Scott didn't pull something like that at this point. With like just the simple explanation of Elizabeth liked Bonnie, and then that's it, that's the only thing we get. Damn, maybe that's the scariest thing of all. In at 9, scrap Nightmare Bonnie. What's that? 2 Bonnie animatronics in a row on a list not about Bonnie? Yes! But mostly because I was scrolling through Google Images and these two caught my eye first. Scrap Nightmare Bonnie is scary for all the reasons I listed above, and then you just add Nightmare to it. Although I guess that doesn't really make for a compelling number, and I should talk about it more. The concept of the Nightmare animatronics is certainly freaky, but the fact that they aren't real kind of like soothes me, you know? Like, sure, none of these animatronics are real, but even in their universe, the Nightmare animatronics aren't real and can't really hurt you. But with the implication of the scrapped nature of this version, it seems to suggest against that idea, and I think that makes it freakier. But also the potential that the arm at the end of that one Security Breach trailer that was never referenced again, by the way, Steel Wool, looks like Nightmare Freddy's arm, and it only adds to the idea that they're not going to be fake for very long. Like, they're going to be real animatronics very soon, and I don't like that. If that ends up being the thing, if they make the Nightmare animatronics actual animatronics in Security Breach, this channel is done with FNAF. Straight up. And at 8, Scrap Baby Endo. Scrap Baby is already the freakiest of all the scrap animatronics, or at least the canon scrap animatronics, but never did I think about what her endoskeleton would look like, because let's be honest, that's kind of freaky. I mean, her name is literally Baby. I don't want to talk about her endoskeleton, that'll put me on like some kind of watch list. However, this goddamn Scrap Baby Endo concept is horrifying. Why does it have boobs? It's an endoskeleton! You don't actually have to give it boobs! Why did Baby even reassemble herself in that way is my question. Is it because she like needs to be able to pass as a human like she does in the Fourth Closet novel? Like seriously, this has been something that has always bugged me because like why? Why did Scrap Baby reassemble themselves with a chest? And then like why are people including this as a part of her endoskeleton? This hurts me on like a deep level. I don't want to think about it anymore. Let's move on. And at 7, Scrap GLITCHTRAP. You can fight me all you want about my opinions on Springtrap and the fact that he's not an animatronic because he's just a dude in the suit. But there's no way you can fight me on the fact that GLITCHTRAP isn't an animatronic. Firstly, he's just game code with no real world equivalent aside from William Afton. Secondly, he's literally just a suit. You can tell by the fabric. The different design to the Bonnie we know and the stitching around his joints and, you know, it's a suit. But this version of GLITCHTRAP, known as Scrap GLITCHTRAP, is designed to be an animatronic, therefore it counts for this list. This thing is fucking horrifying. I've always had a soft spot for GLITCHTRAP, okay? I hate this thing because, like, you know, it gives me creepy bear vibes, if you know what I mean. You know, if you look at old memes, you'll know. It's an old meme, but it checks out. It's a specific bear that may have candy in his white windowless van. Anyway, I hate this kind of thing. And the way that GLITCHTRAP just like stands there and waves and then slowly gets closer to you, who's playing a child in the game, doesn't sit right with me. Hence why I avoid picking up tapes, because I don't like him. Now, with all that said, this version is still worse. The actual Scrap appearance, along with like the desaturation of the costume and the exposed endoskeleton and all the wires, it's too much for me. I can't do it. I'm done. And at 6, Scrap Puppet. I don't know why, but like every version of the puppet intended to be scary gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like the Reaper puppet, which I talk about in multiple FNAF videos, and is honestly the epitome of horrifying for me, is the Reaper puppet. And then there's like the Havoc puppet of the Dramidibus series, and now we have Scrap Puppet. This was only a concept and fan art, but it doesn't actually appear in any of the games, but it's still creepy, okay? It doesn't have to appear in a game. This is fan animatronics for a reason. Doesn't appear in game. And I don't think that there's a mod for it either if you watch that video. Although that is a good idea. You should make a mod for this. There should just be a FNAF game that's all puppets. Anyway, while some people may not be able to make a game for their creations, you can make a mod, or you can like make a model for it in Source Filmmaker, and then let people use it for mods. Anyways, this particular image that I found just looks like the beginning of a Scrap Puppet jump scare, as if you were salvaging them in FNAF 6. And obviously it's not actually in the game because the puppet was captured by Lefty, but still, this just, it puts me on edge. And then it has like all like the little tentacle things coming off of it and like a creepy smile. Like I don't know, it puts me on edge, or it's edging me because of those tentacles. Is that too far? I mean, Food Wars said it, so like, can I make the joke? Halfway through into number 5, Scrap FUNTIME Freddy. FUNTIME Freddy is a particularly interesting animatronic, looking like he just came back from filming a video with James Charles. Does he even make videos anymore? I don't know, nor do I really care. FUNTIME Freddy is creepy simply because he's like the most put together version of Freddy there is, ignoring Toy Freddy. Especially with the recent revelation, thanks to the Fast Facts from FNAF AR, that revealed that the FUNTIME animatronics, despite being introduced in the 5th game, were among some of the first animatronics that Afton built, which I think was meant to serve as a way to show that he always had murderous intentions, but still. Take the creep factor you get from FUNTIME Freddy, then add on to it the scrap adjective, and boom, you got yourself some good nightmare fuel. But like, not like this would be in your nightmares, like rather I think it would just provoke some nightmares, but it is certainly not for the faint of heart. And at 4, Nightmare Scrap Baby. Really? You just had to take probably the freakiest bitch of the bunch and turn her into a Nightmare Scrap version. What the living hell, man. Okay, I'll admit that this should be higher on the list, so actually, you know what, I'll move it. Okay, there we go, it's at number 4 now. Like, it was originally at number 8, but then I switched it with Scrap Baby's Endo specifically so that I could say that I already said that Scrap Baby is the scariest of the Scrap animatronics. Yes, this was a bit. And turning them into a nightmare version that wants to eat my soul is too much, okay? Amanda and I are the only ones who are supposed to do the whole soul eating thing. But Nightmare Scrap Baby looks like she wants to eat my firstborn child. Like, do you understand how absolutely terrifying this thing is? Some of them even look like Pennywise after they're old and gray and been doing too much no snow. Pennywise would be scared of Nightmare Scrap Baby. Afton would disown Elizabeth as his daughter for this. This is literally the stuff of nightmares, which I guess was the point. So, good job, guys. You got me to freak. Congratulations. Getting close to the end in at number 3, Scrap Orville. I found this Scrap Orville through a mod that replaced Orville, I'm assuming, with the Scrap Orville version. Orville Elephant isn't a particularly scary character, and that remains the same for the rest of the mediocre melodies. However, this Scrap Orville mod, made using a model by DeviantArt user Holupaxum, based on a design of Reddit user u/fandomtrash198787, is honestly terrifying. Scrapping animatronics always makes them scarier, and with the lore implications that the original Orville gave with his death lines in Ultimate Custom Night, I can only imagine what a Scrap Orville will add, and I've stated it time and time again, the lore is the scariest thing in the series to me. And the sheer lore implications of not only a Scrap Orville, but all these fan-made scrap animatronics is actually haunting how terrifying it is. If you've ever tried to explain anything in this series in at least somewhat of a reasonable way and not a whole Sans' phone guy kind of way, you'll understand my struggle and you'll relate to me on this. But ultimately, in at number 2, SPRINGTRAP Endo. SPRINGTRAP is already a creepy animatronic, somehow changing from a small, realistically sized head in SPRINGTRAP to a giant, weird alien head in FNAF 6. SPRINGTRAP is definitely one of the most interesting Afton looks. It looks like he's going to Coachella and trying on a load of outfits. However, this man needs to keep as much clothing on as possible because this version of SPRINGTRAP's endoskeleton, or what it would look like, is absolutely horrific. And yes, that's what I meant by clothes, not because Afton is a walking mass of exposed muscle and absolutely unsightly in the most horrendous ways. No, it's because his endoskeleton for the SPRINGTRAP animatronic is freaky. Like, why does his head have to be that shape? It's an animatronic, not a freaking pop figure. SPRINGTRAP needs a pop figure, though. I will definitely buy that. So, Funko, do it. Still, either way, SPRINGTRAP endoskeleton is literally one of my worst nightmares. And finally, in at number 1, Scrap GLAMROCKS. With Security Breach on the horizon, releasing in actually a month as this video is going out, I believe, we still had to include the group of animatronics as scrap versions on this list. And honestly, it's pretty accurate considering how Chica in that promotional image and the recent trailer seems to be pretty scrapped already. They wouldn't really have to do much there to have that really work out. However, the versions that I've actually seen are scarily horrific in a way that makes me concerned if they'll be in the real game. I don't think these would be in the game, but based on that old theory that I had about how these characters are acting like zombies, this makes me feel like that theory is a little too right. These animatronics being made into scrap animatronics are honestly some of the weirdest custom scrap versions I've seen, and that makes them the scariest. I tried to stay away from anything newer, or I guess that I had covered in previous alternate fan version videos, but holy crap, these scrap rocks, as I want to call them, are absolutely haunting. This is what the Halloween update for this game should be. These are actually perfect, so thank you.